Hi everyone, I am Kristen Morrison. I'm the founder of Six Figure Pet Business Academy and the creator of the Prosperous Pet Business Online Conference. And I am here today with Diana Winston. She's the Director of Mindfulness Education at UCLA's Mindfulness Research Center. And it is a total pleasure to have you here, Diana. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, and so we're going to be talking today about the power of mindfulness to create ease in your life and your business. And so, mindfulness is such a buzzword these days, Diana, and there are a lot of people out there who are probably going, what is mindfulness? So can you tell us, what is mindfulness?
Sure. The definition I like to use for mindfulness is paying attention to our present moment experiences with openness and curiosity and a willingness to be with what is. So it's really about living in the present moment. Much of the time we're not living in the present moment. We're lost in the past and lost in the future. So if you were to check into your mind at any point in the day, you would probably notice that you're thinking about things that happened, replaying them, rehashing them, wishing you'd done it differently, or planning for the future, obsessing, imagining the worst, thinking about what's coming up. We're rarely living in the present moment. And then sometimes we're in the present moment, but we're kind of wishing it were a different present moment, you know what I mean? So mindfulness is a way of teaching us to come into this moment and be fully present in a way that we are not typically that way.
That's great. Diana, I'm going to interrupt this for a minute. I'm going to edit it out, but my email alert is going off. I thought I had turned it off, so I apologize. Give me just a second.
Okay. And there was a chainsaw in the background. Let me close the window while we're...
And I can start over. I'd like to actually do that. So that yeah. Yay. Okay, good. Okay.
I was wearing lipstick and it all came off. Should I put it back on or does it matter?
You can put it on if you want. Sure. We have time.
You look great, Kristen.
Thank you, darling.
I haven't seen you in about, I don't know, a decade or something.
No, isn't that amazing? I'm imagining us in the apartment that you were in. I can picture it,
Oh, yeah.
In the living room there, you're getting ready to move to LA and you were and freaked out and excited and
yeah, big changes.
Yeah, big changes. It's exciting. Aw. Okay, so I'm going to start now. Here we go. Yay,
okay.
Email alerts going off. Oh.
Okay, no problem.
I had to be very mindful just then. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Hi, everyone. I am Kristen Morrison. I am the founder of Six Figure Pet Business Academy and the creator of the Prosperous Pet Business Online Conference. And I am here with Diana Winston. She is the Director of Mindfulness Education at UCLA's Mindfulness Research Center. And we're going to be talking about the power of mindfulness to create more ease in your life and your business. Welcome, Diana.
Hi, I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
I'm so happy you're here. So, mindfulness is such a big buzzword these days. Everybody's talking about it. But what is it? What exactly is mindfulness?
So I like to use the definition that mindfulness is paying attention to our present moment experiences with openness and curiosity and a willingness to be with what is. Now, much of the time we're not in the present moment, and mindfulness can teach us how to be there. We tend to be lost in the past or lost in the future. So we're lost in the past, we're thinking about all the things we did, we're replaying it, we're stressing and ruminating and rehashing, wishing we'd done something differently, or we're planning for the future, obsessing, catastrophizing, worst case scenario, and our minds are swinging back and forth between those two places. When we're in the present moment, we're often in the present moment kind of wishing it were a different present moment. We're not happy with things as they are. And so mindfulness is a tool to help us become more centered and to live from a place of being more in the present moment.
That's beautiful. And why is it helpful to do
Well, it's
that?
helpful for a whole number of conditions and situations. It's helpful with stress reduction, period. And we know that most people these days are stressed out. No matter what you're doing, people are stressed out. So mindfulness shows that the science behind mindfulness shows that you will help with blood pressure, reducing blood pressure. It will help with boost the immune system, the stress response. It'll help with people with healing, help people heal faster if they're ill. So mindfulness can have a host of physical impact, and as well as helping us emotionally. It helps with emotional regulation. So when we get stressed out, when our job makes us crazy and stressed out, we can learn to come back into ourselves, to calm ourselves down, to not react so quickly. So much of the time, we're very reactive. Something bad happens and we jump at someone or we get anxious immediately. But we can learn to take a breath, to pause, to be more self-aware, and that can help in all of our relationships. So mindfulness can help our business, can help in our relationships, can help with attention, it can help us focus. So there's many, many benefits of practicing mindfulness.
And is there, I've heard that there's scientific research to back this up. Can you share some of that with us?
Yes, absolutely. So I was mentioning a little bit that related to stress-related conditions can be positively impacted. So I'll give you an example. They did a study a number of years ago with people who had psoriasis, the itchy skin condition. The typical treatment for psoriasis is going into almost like a tanning booth. You get UVB rays on your skin. Well, one research study they did had people meditate while they were getting the treatment through listening to an audio, and the other people did the treatment as usual. The people who meditated, their psoriasis cleared up 3 times faster than the people who didn't. So that's an example of a scientific study done around physical health, and it seems to be very helpful. It actually even can impact genetic markers for inflammation positively. So if you're predisposed to inflammation is arising in your body, it can be positively impacted that way. It also helps with anxiety and depression. So some of the research has shown it to be very helpful for people with anxiety. And it's been incorporated into a lot of different clinical treatments for people with anxiety disorders and depression. But you don't have to have any particular disorder. If you have the usual anxiety from being alive in the 21st century, yes, like most of us, it's very helpful. And that's what the research shows. It shows it leads to happiness. So there was this interesting study done where they buzzed people on smartphones. There had about 2,500 people over the course of the day, and they asked them 3 questions. And the 3 questions were, what are you doing right now? Is your mind on it? And how is your mood? And what they found was that if people's mind were on what they were doing, they reported being happier, even if they were doing something that they didn't like. So they're doing the dishes, they hate doing the dishes, but they're keeping their attention on it instead of stressing about all the things they're worried about. If they could stay in the present moment, they reported more happiness. So mood is another thing that can be impacted. Attention, there's research on people with ADHD practicing mindfulness and having an ability to pay better attention. It helps students with doing better on the GREs, one study showed, because it helped them learn how to pay attention. And one of the most interesting kind of cutting edge parts of mindfulness research is around neuroscience. So they've looked at people's brains who are the advanced meditators, people who've been doing this for 20, 30 years. And they found that their brains don't thin out in the same way people's do as they age. So I don't know if you know this, but as you age, your brain thins out. Did you know that?
I didn't know it, and it's
it's depressing. It's called age-related cortical decline. So if you want something else to worry about, you can worry about it.
Thank you. Okay.
But people who meditate, that doesn't happen. There's a protective function in certain parts of the brain, particularly the part of the brain responsible, the prefrontal cortex, like the executive functioning of our brain, the part of the brain responsible for emotional regulation, for delayed gratification, for working memory, for flexible thinking. All of this is it doesn't thin out over time in people who meditate. So there's a lot of promising research. I'm giving you a little taste of it, and it's still a young field, but it's very exciting for the average person to see all this great research.
Yeah, and I just had a thought, Diana. I'm wondering if they've done studies, maybe you know about this, on Alzheimer's, and if people who meditate are less likely to get some type of memory disease.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think there are some studies. I'm not that familiar. What I do know is a very interesting study done looking at aging and mindfulness. And one of the things that signifies aging is they look at your genes, and they look at something called the telomeres, which is at the very end of the DNA strand. And it's like, you can think of a shoelace with a little cap on the shoelace. As you age, that starts to fray, and then it loses its protective function. People who meditated, as they found in one research study, did not have these decaying telomeres in the same way. And so the enzyme, I believe, if I remember correctly, and I'm not a scientist, just to be clear, I'm not a scientist, I'm an educator. The enzyme was increased, and that protected the body from aging. So I think it is promising with Alzheimer's, but I think it's early in the research.
Yeah, I'm so curious about that. I know, I think I've even seen something on the internet about people, I mean, obviously if aging is impacted, by meditating or not. I remember seeing something about pictures of people in their 80s and 90s who had been, lifelong meditators, and they looked so young and vibrant, and had all their functions about them. And
well, I think one of the things when I read the research about aging is happiness. It's how happy people are, and people who have meditation practice or a way of de-stressing, whether it's a spiritual life, whether it's physical activity, when you're connected to something like that, that's a very good sign of how long you're going to live. So absolutely.
Yeah, and when I think about, when I'm living in the past in my mind, or I'm living in the future in my mind, that's not always a source of happiness. In fact, often it's a source of unhappiness.
Exactly.
Yeah, fear, anxiety, but being in the moment, being in the present moment, like everything's fine right now.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Most of our worries have not actually happened.
Yeah.
There's an interesting research that I read about where they said that they figured this out, that 92% of the things that we worry about never come true.
I read that.
Say that like 80% of the things that do come true, we handle better than we ever would have expected. So,
wow. And I want to say to the viewers that are watching, because I coach a lot of pet business owners who, it's so interesting, because if they have a few clients leave suddenly, or they get a bad review, they immediately go, or sometimes not immediately, but the thread is at the end, I'm going to end up homeless and destitute, and they immediately go there, or that's where the thread goes with their fear. And to just really remember that we're fine right now. And those of you who are watching that are experiencing fear or anxiety, just take a breath. All is well right now. You're good.
That's great. You're teaching them mindfulness.
So, you work at the UCLA Mindfulness Awareness Center. What can you tell us about that? What is it?
So we're a center we started about 10 years ago, and we're based out of the UCLA Medical School. And we bring mindfulness to the UCLA community, and also the Los Angeles community, and also nationwide through online classes and our free meditation recordings. So we've been teaching meditation quite widely, and training teachers, and just making it an accessible part of the community down in Los Angeles. So it's nice, for instance, on the campus at UCLA, every day during the work week, somebody can come to a free meditation and just meditate for half an hour. And we provide this, and we will go to different departments. Tomorrow I'm going next week I'm going to orthopedics and teaching some of the doctors and the staff how to do it. It's just, it's been really wonderful to be offering these tools throughout UCLA and broadly.
Yeah, and you're talking about going into the workplace. How is mindfulness used in the workplace for those pet business owners who are like, how can this help me?
Yes. So mindfulness is being incorporated in lots of different business settings. And I've noticed that. So I've been doing this for 25 years. And when I started doing it 25 years ago, you didn't tell anybody you meditated. It was very secret. But now everybody sees how beneficial it is, and it's all around. You see it in the culture. You see it. It was on the cover of Time magazine 6 months ago. A lot of businesses are finding that it's useful on a number of levels, and so it can be useful for just employees managing stress, period. So some businesses, for instance, Google has started a whole program called Search Inside Yourself, right, which teaches stress reduction and mindfulness, emotional intelligence techniques. But that's a big name. There's so many small businesses that are incorporating it, offering meditation spaces, offering classes, encouraging people to do it outside so it helps them with their stress reduction. So I'd say the stress reduction is a #1 piece. It helps with attention and focus. So in business settings, they often talk about that there's an increase in productivity because of one's ability to be less stressed out and pay better attention. And I don't feel like that has to be the be-all and end-all of doing meditation, because it's a practice in and of itself. But the research does show that it does improve productivity in a business setting. The other piece that I think is tremendously valuable is a piece I mentioned earlier with emotional regulation. So as we run businesses, we run into things that aggravate us, frustrate us, cause anxiety all the time. And so having tools to help us deal with it in the moment is so helpful. So what we encourage people to do is when they're under stress, they can remember to be mindful. And so bringing themselves back into the present moment. One tool that I love to offer is called STOP. And it stands for stop, take a breath, observe, and proceed. And so if you're under a moment of stress, or you're disconnected, or you're anxious, or anything, you can just remember to stop. So all you would do is you don't have to freeze or something, but just stop and take a breath. We can even try it right now, everybody who's listening.
Yeah.
So let's take a breath. And you can open your eyes or close your eyes, it's up to you. And then observe. Just bring your attention into your body. And what do you notice in your body right now? Maybe your heart is racing, stomach is clenched. Do you notice any kind of emotion? Maybe you're feeling happy or curious or anxious. Any particular thoughts? And even externally, any sounds around you? And then we'll just proceed with more mindfulness. So it's like we've taken this mini break, and you don't even have to do it that long. If you don't have time, you can take 5 seconds and just stop, take a breath, observe something going on inside you or even externally. Wow, I'm feeling good, or I'm feeling anxious, or whatever it is, and proceed. And that's it. So this is a way of bringing mindfulness in to de-stress, help you get more centered, more focused, regulate your emotional life, which is extremely helpful in the business world. And it also, maybe the last thing I'll say, and there's of course many other benefits, is it can improve our relationships, because the more that we can self-manage, the more ability we're going to have to deal with clients, with colleagues, with employees, with, because you're going to show up with presence, with attention. You're giving them your full attention. You're not, if you know how to be present, you're not going to be talking to a client and spacing out and thinking about the 10 other things you're going to do. You're going to be right there with them. And our relationship with our client is the best indicator, or is a very good indicator of our success in our business, because when they love you, you're going to do better, right? Yeah. So being present helps people feel seen, acknowledged, and heard. And so we can practice that. So just a suggestion, when you're with someone, really be with them. Give them your full attention. And if your mind wanders away into something important, something you think you have to do, just come right back and give them attention.
Beautiful. That's great. So people that are new to meditating might be thinking, how do I even meditate? I've never done that before, or I try and it doesn't really work. My mind wanders. What tips do you have?
Sure. So everybody's mind wanders. Just know, if you've done meditation before and your mind has wandered, you're not doing it wrong. This is normal. So a couple of things. What I recommend is that if you're interested in mindfulness, that before I was giving you little tools and things you can do throughout the day. But what would be really helpful is to develop a meditation practice. And I like to start people off with 5 minutes. 5 minutes is enough. I mean, everybody has 5 minutes in their day to spare. They may not have 20 or 30, but you can find 5 minutes. And the recommendation is it's essentially paying attention to your breathing. Notice your breathing, your abdomen rising and falling, or your chest moving, or the air moving through your nose. And so you stay with that, you focus on that, your mind will wander off, and then you gently bring it back. And then it'll wander off again, and you gently keep bringing it back, and that's the practice. It's very simple in describing it. It's not easy to do. You have to work at it. It's just like working out at the gym. You get better, your meditation muscle gets stronger as you do it. Now, a couple of things in terms of what you were asking. One is, as I mentioned earlier, our website has free meditations you can listen to, because it's hard to do it on your own. So you can pick a 5-minute meditation and just practice along with it. And that's a helpful way to do it. Second is just having an attitude, like you can't do it wrong. It's a gift for you. And if your mind is wandering, it means you're part of the human race. It means you're completely normal. And that when you are kind and compassionate to yourself as you practice meditation, that's going to have an impact on how you are in the world. You're going to be more compassionate to yourself outside of meditation. So being present, practicing the tool on a daily basis will give you more skill for applying it in life when you need it with clients, with the pets, with your employees, whoever it is.
That's great. And do you have any other tips for really cultivating mindfulness in the daily life that we have?
Well, it's important not to be too overstressed, because I think the more we have going on, the harder it is to be present. So I like doing things like shutting down my email at a certain time, and I just don't do it anymore, turning off my phone and really giving my attention to my family and making an effort. It's like you have to make an effort to create the conditions to have a more mindful life. And now that's not going to work for everybody. And I know as small business owners, like, it's stressful and you're worrying about a lot of things all the time, but you've got to make space to give yourself some mindful time. And it doesn't have to be meditation. It could be taking a walk in the woods, or something that's going to nourish you and take you out of that mindset that's thinking about work all the time. Mm-hmm. Another thing we recommend is, if you like mindfulness, and by the way, mindfulness is not for everybody, just to be really clear. Some people really respond to it, and other people, it's not their thing. So find something that does work for you if it's not mindfulness. But if you do respond to it, maybe some things I suggest is pick an activity during the day to make it a mindful activity. Like for me, washing the dishes is a really mindful time. Instead of washing the dishes and thinking about all the things I have to do and stressing out, I really just wash the dishes. I feel my hands with the water on my hands, and the feel as I move my arm across move my hands on the dish, and the feel of the water. And it just helps me get really, really centered and grounded, and helps with the rest of the day. And even little things like, when your cell phone rings, don't pick it up immediately. Take a breath and then pick it up. Mm-hmm. You can have a bell go off on your computer every hour to remind you to be mindful. So, there's lots of tools.
You can put an alert on your phone, that we're mindful.
Exactly.
Yeah. And eating can be a good one too. often, especially for busy pet business owners, running from job to job or, whatever they're doing, often they're eating in the car, but like really using that time, the 15, 20 minutes that you're using for eating to really get in your body and experience the taste of the food that you're using to nourish yourself.
Exactly. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So any other tips you have for business owners who are stressed or people that are interested in exploring more about mindfulness?
I think I'm nothing's coming to me at the moment in terms of additional tips for what I've said, but I just encourage you, if you're interested, to give it a try and not be intimidated and not worry. To start with, as I said, maybe just a 5-minute meditation practice, and then as you start to see the effect, you might notice that, wow, this is really helping me, and then you want to bring it more and more into your life. So don't take my word for it, try it and see what happens. And if it impacts you positively and people start saying, wow, you're calmer than you used to be, you'll understand why it's useful for you.
Yeah, and for me, when I've done meditating, it's taken a while for it to kick in. So I would encourage those viewers who are watching to really give it a chance, maybe even 30 days of just.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, because
it could take weeks or so. It's not an immediate quick fix. If you're looking for immediate quick fix, sorry, it's not that. It's a practice. It's something you have to do over time and cultivate, just like if you're going to learn anything. If you want to play the piano, you got to work at it. The same with mindfulness. But people, I've worked with thousands of people over the years, and the people who put their time and energy into it find it to be so beneficial, and so it's just really worth it.
Yeah, it is. I can attest to that too. I've really, I experience less stress, more ease. I'm able to respond rather than react as a result of the meditation that I've done. It makes such a difference.
Fantastic. That's great.
So how can viewers find out more about you in your work, Diana?
Well, the best way is to go to the UCLA's website, the Mindful Awareness Research Center, which I think you're going to link for them.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and say what the URL is?
It's www.marc.ucla.edu. Okay. And on it, we have the free meditations. We have hundreds of free meditations with different topics. I teach a meditation class every Thursday at a museum right near UCLA, and we have a couple hundred people coming to meditate. So if you're in Los Angeles, please come. Thursdays, 12:30 at the Hammer Museum. But all of that is podcast, so you can just listen to it from wherever you are. We have an online class that you can do, so you can learn the fundamentals of mindfulness over about a 6-week period. We have books, and there's so much to do. So if you're interested, please check out our center. It'd be great.
Thank you, Diana, and thanks for the great work you're doing in the world to bring more peace and serenity and joy to this planet. I appreciate you.
Thanks for saying that, Kristen. I'm really happy to be here and to share it with your people. Yeah.
Great. Take good care. Thanks so much. Bye. Bye.